Hello, so we're going to go ahead and work on the quiz review. So in the diagram below, it says give an example of each circle part. So the center of the circle, everybody, is P. Radius is, you could write it as PM. Okay, so that's a radius. PL is also a radius, and then also PN. Okay, so all of those are radii of a circle. So remember, they're half of the diameter. Okay, and then it's this, so diameter, going to diameter would be NL. So that's going to go all the way across. So NL is the diameter. And then a chord, so remember diameter is the largest chord in the circle. So we do have NL, okay, is a chord. And then also we have KL is also a chord. So remember, chords are going to go from the edge of the circle to the edge of the circle. Okay, so their endpoints are on the circle. And secant, so remember we were talking about that in class today, so it's going to intersect the circle at 2 points. So secant intersects at 2 points. So that is going to be, so JL is a secant. Okay, and we would have that be, so JL is the secant, and then also a tangent intersects at 1 point, so it would intersect at N right there. So JN is a tangent. Central angle, so it's going to be from the center. Okay, so we have angles. So we have, I'm going to write it over here. So we're going to have central angles. It's going to be angle NPM, and then we also have MPL. So both of those are central angles. Notice that P is the center of the circle and the vertex. Inscribed angles. So we have angle K. So we have angle K. So I'm trying to write it on here. KLP. Okay, is an inscribed angle. So inside. Okay, minor arcs. So we have minor arcs. We have a lot of them. So one of them is KN. Is a minor arc. We also have ML would be a minor arc. Okay, so all of those would be minor arc. And then a major arc would be KNL. Okay, so remember, minor arc is going to be less than 180, and a major arc is more than 180. Okay, semicircle is equal to 180. So remember, that's going to be half. So that is going to be MNL is a semicircle, and then we also have NKL, so we can go the opposite way. Okay, and both of those are semicircles. So area and circumference of a circle. So we have to find the area and circumference. So if I'm going to find circumference, remember circumference is equal to the diameter times pi. Okay, remember we can also have the circumference is equal to 2 times the radius times pi. So I'm going to go circumference is equal to 16 and 6/10 times 3 and 14/100. And so I get 52. So we're going to multiply that out. Okay, so I got 52 and 100, 1 and 2/10. Okay, and it would be meters. Okay, area of the circle. So area, we're going to need the radius. So remember, that is pi times the radius squared. So this one's going to be half. Remember, that's the diameter. So the radius is going to be equal to 8 3/10. Remember, it's going to be half. So I'm going to put in 3 1400 times 8 3/10. And I'm going to multiply those together. Okay, so we're going to get 16, 216, and 31/100. Okay, remember on the quiz and test, though, definitely make sure everybody are reading the directions. And it's going to be meters squared. I mean, read the directions to make sure you look at what you need to round the units to. Okay. Circumference of a radius of a circle. So if I have circumference, everybody, so circumference is equal to, remember we said pi times d, or 2r times pi. So I'm going to substitute that in. So 106 times 81/100 is equal to 2. And I'm going to put that times pi. And then we have our r. Our r is going to go right there. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply it out. So 2 times 3 1400, so it's 2 2800. I'm going to go ahead and divide it. So I divide both sides. Remember, what we do onto one side, we must do to the other side. Okay, and I get 17. Okay, 17.1 for the radius. So 17.01 for the radius. Okay. And that would be centimeters. Okay, this one, it says find the diameter of the circle. Okay, so we're going to do this one. So we're given the area. So remember, area is, so I write the formula, area is equal to pi r squared. So I substitute in what I know. They give us the area is equal to, so pi, so we're going to divide each side by pi. Okay, so I get 30 26/100 is equal to the radius squared. Remember, now I'm going to take the square root, so I take the square root of each side. Make sure, everybody, that your calculator is in classic. Okay, so I get that the radius is equal to 5.5, and then it's a 0, so it's going to be feet. Okay, we got the radius. And then to get the diameter, we just multiply it by 2. Okay, and then, so now I multiply it by 2 to get the diameter. So diameter, remember, is going to be double. So I get 11 feet for the diameter. Okay, so on any questions on that one? So remember, with this one, to go to this one, we just multiplied by 2. Okay, this one, circumference. Find the circumference of the circle with the area. So since they give us area, we're going to have to find, like we did up here first, we're going to have to find the radius. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing. So write out the formula. I'm going to substitute it in. So I substitute in what I know. And then I'm going to divide each side by the 3 1400. So I got 81.04 is equal to the radius squared. Same thing I did before, everybody. I need to take the square root of each side. So I can get the radius, so take the square root. Sorry, I'm trying to show that I have to take the square root. So I got that the radius is equal to 9. Okay, and then I can use that to find the circumference. So remember, we're going to use circumference is equal to 2 times the radius times pi. So 2 times 9 times pi. So we multiply those all together. Okay, and I got 56 and 52 hundredths. And it would be, that's about right, inches, feet, but it's inches. Okay, so everybody, so that would be our answer for that one. Okay, central angles. So remember with central angles, the angle and arc are equal to each other. They want us to find all the arc measures. Okay, so to find the measure of CD, well, I know that this is a right angle. So I'm going to subtract it from 180, from 90. Okay, so it's going to be 90 minus 53. Okay, and I get 37. Okay, so this is 37 right here. Okay, and then find arc AB. Well, I know that half of the circle, E to C, is the diameter. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract that. So for arc AB, I'm going to have 180 minus 79 minus 53, and that's going to give me the measure of arc AB. So I put that in the calculator, and I got 48 degrees. So now this arc is 48. Whew, almost done. And then to find the arc ED, I'm going to subtract. So if you look at EC, remember, still is the diameter. So I'm going to subtract 180 minus 37. Okay, and that is going to give me the measure of arc ED, which is 143 degrees. Whew. Okay, and find the arc EB. I'm going to add together 79 and 48. Okay, and we get 127. Okay, and then to find the measure of the arc BED, okay, so that would be BE to D. Sorry, I'm not doing a good job of writing these. So you could do it a couple ways. One way, actually, because we're not using the arc EB, you could subtract that from 360. Okay, so go 360 minus the arc EB, and that would give us our answer of 233 degrees. And then to find the arc EDC, okay, we could just subtract arc DC. So 360 degrees minus 37, because I think of it like we're cutting that piece out. We're taking that part of the circle out. So basically we're taking that part of the circle out. So we're going to, does everybody see that? So we're not including this part. Okay, let's go ahead and the central angles. Let's go on to the back. So solve for x. So they want us to find that angle. So I look at this and I go, okay, so if I need to solve for x, I know that this part right here, BS, is the diameter, so that's going to be equal to, or is it US, is equal to 180. So I could set this equal to 180, so 6x plus 33 plus 45 is equal to 180. combine like terms, so add the numbers together, so 33 plus 45. Yep, so 78 is equal to 180. Subtract it from each side. So I get 6x is equal to 102. 102 divided by 6, we get 17. Okay, so that's solving for x. This one, they want us to find the measure of the arc EF. Okay, so that's the arc right here. How I would do that, I know that the arcs, so these two arcs, DE and GF, are congruent, so I set those two equal to each other. So 15x minus 7 is equal to 13x plus 3. We subtract 15x, I would subtract 13x from each side to get the x's all on one side. I use this smaller number because I don't want to have a negative coefficient. I'm trying to break this underneath here. And then I'm just going to add 7 to each side. So I get 2x is equal to 10. Half of 10 is going to be 5. Okay, we're almost done. So now that I got that, now I have to substitute that back in. Okay, so 5 times 13 plus 3 is going to be equal to 68. Okay, and now I can subtract that from 180 to find EF. So I got 112 degrees. Okay, so that gave me my measure up here. Because remember, GE is the diameter, so it's equal to 180. Okay, inscribed angles, yay! Okay, so they want us to find the measure of the angle. Okay, so everybody remember when we're doing this, if we're going to angle to arc, I should have drawn this bigger. Okay, so if I'm going from arc to angle, I'm going this way, I'm going to multiply by 2. If I'm going from arc to angle, so if I'm going the other way, I'm going to divide by 2. Okay, so on this one, they give us an angle of 59, and they want us to find this arc, ML. I'm going to divide by 2, multiply by 2, so 59 times 2. So we're doubling it. We're going to get 118 degrees. Okay. Now they want us to find LJ, LK. So they want us to find that arc. Or that angle. So angle JKL. So they want us to find this angle right here. Well, we know that JL is the diameter. So I'm going to do 180 minus 118 to get the arc. So that means the arc JM is 62. So the angle is going to be half. So half of 62. So I do 62 divided by 2. And I get 33. 31. Watching and doing this at the same time is interesting. Okay, so, and then angle JLM. I think I was doing the wrong one. No. Sorry. I did the wrong one. Okay, so JKL would be this one over here. Okay, so that would be the 134. I would divide that one by 2. So I would get 67 for that one, because the arc is 134. Okay, so the next one for MJ, so we already got that one. We got it 62. Okay, this one we're going to solve for x. So they give us the arc, right, is 94. Remember, we're going arc. So we're going from the arc to the angle. So we're going to divide by 2. So I'm going to divide by 2. So half of 94 is going to be 47. So I'm going to do 9x minus 25 is equal to 47. We add 25 to each side. And we get 72. Divide by 9. 72 divided by 9 is going to be 8. Okay, for these ones, it says find so we're trying to find the measure of the angle, okay? And they give us that the measure of the arc, okay, is 19x minus 50. So we're going to set those two equal to each other. So 2 times the measure of the angle, BCD, is equal to the measure of arc BAD. So we're just going to substitute in our the expressions that they gave us. So 7x plus 10, and then 19x minus 50. We're going to do distributive property. So we're going to go 14x plus 10 is equal to 19x minus 50. I'm going to subtract 14x from each side, so I get 10x is equal to 5x minus 50. Add 50 to each side, and I get 60x is equal to 5. Go ahead and divide 60 by 5, and I get x is equal to 12. And then to find x, the measure of the arc, I do substitute in 12 for x. This is 50. So 19 times 12 minus 50 is going to give us the measure of arc BAD. So we get 266 minus 50 is equal to 216 degrees.
Attention, students. At this
Okay, so for this one, everybody, you need to remember that the overlapping arcs are going to be congruent. So the measure of angle PQS, so that would be this angle right here, okay, and the measure of PRS, those two are going to be congruent to each other. So those two are congruent. Overlapping arcs, angle arcs are going to be congruent, okay? So overlapping angles with the same arc are congruent because they both share this arc, PS. Okay? So we just set them equal to each other, and we're going to solve for x. My caution with you, everybody, with this 5x, I would go ahead and do keep, change to change it to a negative 5x, just so you don't lose track of that negative sign. And then add 5x to each side. So I get 11x plus 1 is equal to 34. Add 34 to subtract 1 from each side. We get 11x is equal to 33. 33 divided by 11 is going to be 3. And then it says find the measure of the arc. Okay, so now we're going to find one of the angles. We can do either one. So if I want to find the measure of angle PQS, I'm going to substitute this in. So I'm going to go 6 times 3 plus 1. Okay, and I got 19. Remember, we're going from, so that measure of that angle is 19 degrees. And I want to find the arc. I'm going to multiply by 2. So it would be 38 degrees for the measure of the arc. Yes. Okay, so this one, it says find the measure if K, okay, is 8x minus 19, and angle M is 5x plus 43. It says find the measure of angle M. Remember, with quadrilaterals, opposite angles are going to be equal to 180. So the measure of angle K plus the measure of angle M is going to be equal to 180. So I substitute those in. So I go 8x minus 19 plus 5x plus 43 is equal to 180. I'm going to combine like terms, so I'm going to add the x's and the numbers. Careful of that it's a minus 19, so 43 minus 19. So the x's, 8x plus 5x is 14x plus 24. So 43 minus 19 is 24. I subtract 24 from each side. So I get 156. Divide x by 14 to get 12. They want us to find the measure of angle M, so I'm going to have to substitute that in. So I'm going to go, so to find the measure of angle M, I'm going to substitute it in. So 5 times 12 plus 43. 5 times 12 is 60. Plus 43 is 103. So the measure of angle M is 103. And then if I needed to find the measure of angle K, I could subtract 180 minus 103 to find the measure of angle K. Any questions on that one? Okay, make sure that everybody, so that you're plugging this in. 12 in for x to find the measure of angle M. So make sure, everybody, that you're reading carefully on these. So read the directions carefully. Read carefully. It says to round to the hundredths or the tenths place. And you got this.